It's Listen In with KNN, the sports sound of the district. We bring you the biggest guests, great analysis, and the hottest sports stories in the nation's capital and beyond. And we bring it to you live. Welcome to this live stream broadcast of Listen In with KNN. Here's your host, Kelsey Nicole Nelson.
All right. Hello, everyone. Happy Saturday. Thank you so much for joining me back on another live stream edition of Listen In with KNN, presented by Fox Sports Radio. Thank you all so much who joined me yesterday as we welcomed in special guest Amari Stoudemire, and what a show that was. And today, I'm going to keep bringing the heat to you all. I'm welcoming in a true media giant, a man who knows this industry very well and is not afraid to share his opinions. We are going to get to it. I'm welcoming in none other than Mr. Rob Parker. He is the FS1 contributor. He's also co-host of one of our favorite shows, The Odd Couple with Chris Broussard on Fox Sports Radio. And then he also, of course, is a columnist for Deadspin and does just so much more, a true mentor and a true person in this industry that everyone should know. So without further ado, I will bring him on to the show.
Kelsey,
Rob, how are you?
I'm good. How are you? Thanks for having
I'm
me.
fantastic. Thank you so much for joining. I will say, Rob, you're the best. I texted you, could you come on? And sooner or later, you texted me back and you said yes. So thank you so much. How's everything out in LA?
Everything is as good as it can be. You know, life is a little tough, but we got to work through it, fight on. You see, I'm representing today.
I see it. You didn't give me the memo.
I'm excited about that.
Yeah, talk about that. I mean, are you a fan of this? Let's just get into it. Are you a fan of this shorter season? Is it still going to be the same, Rob, or are we going to look at baseball differently?
I'm just going to embrace it because of where we are. We're in a pandemic.
Yeah.
You know, so many things are up in the air. I know a lot of people want everything to be like it was. And I'd rather have 60 games, make it fast and furious, have the playoffs than to have nothing. So
right.
I'm just like thankful. I'm a baseball guy. I have a Hall of Fame vote. I love baseball, so I'm thrilled. I also have a baseball podcast. Might be the only brother in the country with a baseball podcast called Inside the Parker. It's drops every Thursday on the Herd Podcast Network and Apple Podcasts.
Nice, and I love that you mentioned that. We need to get more brothers and sisters, Rob, into baseball. What are we doing? What are we doing wrong? How do we get more in?
You know what? This is the thing I tell people all the time. You know, the NBA, NFL is real crowded. So,
right.
You know what I mean? I'm not saying you can't. I love all sports.
Right.
But don't shut yourself out from other opportunities by not knowing about baseball. There's 162 games a year. There are 30 teams. There's all kinds of opportunities out there. And unfortunately, I guess everybody wants to cover the NBA. It wasn't always like that. But
yeah,
I think that you should branch out.
You need to. And look, you guys are hearing it first from Rob. He knows his stuff. And like you said, I'm excited for baseball to be back too. Next time, give me the memo, Rob. I could have rocked the baseball shirt too, but you forgot to send me that text. So I'll give you a pass. And it's crazy, Rob, to be talking to you now. I think back to when I last saw you in person at the Super Bowl. And lo and behold, I mean, who saw that any of this was coming, right? We were living life with no worries. You know, the biggest worry was who was going to win the game in Miami, right?
Miami, spectacular. Oh, I had a great hotel on the beach, and we were close to the convention center.
Right.
We were eating out, having dinner at 1 o'clock in the morning. Places. I mean, it was as good as it gets.
And now we're here, right? Now we have Corona hitting, COVID-19 is everywhere. We're stuck in our houses. I just went to the hair salon for the first time today in 3 months, Rob. Like, we're making progress.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And, and then you have all the social unrest. So it's been a journey.
Yeah.
The last 4 months. And, it's like this is just a part of life. Everybody goes through their own. In the 60s, there were riots and all kinds of other issues. And we know there were riots in the 90s with Rodney King and whatnot. So sometimes people just decide that they can't take it anymore and they're going to push back. So I think that's where we are. I love to see all the young people of all shapes, sizes, colors, races, everything out there because they want a different life. You know, they don't want to live the life that my parents or grandparents or even I lived, and they want a different life. And I applaud people for you know, fighting for it.
Yeah, I think that's what we're seeing, right? We're starting to see change, right? I'm here in DC. In DC, I think the protests are still there. We're starting to see statues come down, Confederate statues. We're starting to see the names of schools even change, schools that have been here for so long. You see what happened with NASCAR and the removal of the Confederate flags. Do you think
those are symbolic, and I know a lot of people want to see other things as well.
Right.
But it is a start. I mean, you know, in DC, Native Americans came out yesterday with a letter saying, you know, they want I don't even say the name, but the name of the Washington NFL team, they want it removed. It's not an honor, you know, and at some point the NFL is now supposedly woke and they gave $250 million and oh, we get it. Yeah. Colin and peaceful and all this stuff.
Yeah.
But they got a team that has a racist name on it. Are you going to do something about that? You know, we saw Uncle Ben is unemployed. Aunt Jemima's unemployed.
Yes.
Mrs. Butterworth's unemployed. You know, like things are changing, and that's a good sign because you want to make it where it's inclusive for everybody, and everybody should feel comfortable. So I get it with these companies and what they're doing. And finally, listen, I think the last Sambo's restaurant changed its name in Santa Barbara, California.
Yeah.
It's been around since 1957. I mean, these are. It's unbelievable.
I mean, we're starting to see change. I know for the first time in my lifetime, I'm seeing this. It's impactful. Like you said, I'm seeing people younger than me out protesting and marching, saying enough is enough. And we're starting to see change. We're making sure people vote. But I think you're right. And I think as we think about sports, and I think about today with the National Women's Soccer League kicking off, and then wearing those Black Lives Matter shirts. And I want to talk with you about the athletes' role within this movement. Where do you think athletes fall into this movement, and how can they make positive change, you know, on this national level, on this international level that some of them are on, to see change in their communities?
Athletes are huge because people have an allegiance with them. And I'm talking about all people. If they're playing for your favorite team or they're your favorite athlete, and if they were to make, you know, point out things that are good, bad, and different, people listen to them. They have a huge platform, and I think it's important and imperative to try to force change when it can be for the betterment of all people. Right. I'm not saying you got to be on your soapbox every week. You know, you have a job to do. If you're a basketball player, you're a player. I get that, but there comes important times when you should stand up, and you know, I think what we've seen this time, even from white athletes, is silence isn't good enough. Just not saying anything. If you don't say anything, then you're against us. You know,
right? Yeah, like part of the problem.
Exactly. So you just can't ignore it and go, well, that's not my problem. I'm not black. or brown. I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
And I think as we get you know, as time goes on, the other thing I think with the younger people is they realize too that it won't be that long before this country, the majority will be brown, and black, and not white. And I don't know if you want to be in that world, you know, where things have not changed. So I think this is for the betterment because it's coming sooner than later. It ain't gonna be 100 years from now.
It's tomorrow, right?
Yes,
it's coming.
Tomorrow, it's coming, and I think that's important.
And I love what you're saying. And I think that unity aspect is huge. Like you said, it's not just the Black athletes. It's not just your African-American athletes that need to be a part of this movement. I think it's everyone. And I think now we're seeing that. I mean, again, I mentioned the National Women's Soccer League. You're seeing white women wear Black Lives Matters t-shirts. What does that say to the larger context, Rob, of the world when we see these athletes uniting together, no matter their skin tone, their ethnicity, their race? What does that say to the larger world about the message that we need to go forth, putting forward to make change in this country?
That we're all the same, you know. Yeah. And I tell people this all the time. And you could take a baby that was born in Paris, France, bring that baby to Harlem, New York, and raise them. And they will adapt, speak the language that's around them and the culture. So we're all the same. Same if you take a Black baby from Harlem and take it to Russia. They will speak Russian. They will follow Russian culture. So it has nothing to do with skin color and all that. We adapt to what's around us. That's really what it is. and we're all basically a blank slate until we get around our culture and our people and our language. That's
right.
how it is. So
And it's crazy.
It is. Think about that. It's so simple, isn't it?
Yeah, the simplest things are the hardest things, it seems like, for us as a people. I have no clue why. Like you said, we're all humans. And some of us just we're blessed with a little bit more melanin. Nothing wrong with it. But I think it's how we get forward. And I think at least we're starting to see that change. And talking about change, I think when people saw it with NASCAR, Rob, I think that's when people were like, wow, something is happening. Something is coming. And luckily, I've had the sport to work for NASCAR. I've got to cover NASCAR, talk about being someone different looking who covers a sport that's not predominantly covered by people that look like us. So when you saw the decision with NASCAR to ban the Confederate flag from races, and you see what's all happening with Bubba Wallace, we have the noose incident that happened. What do you think that says to NASCAR as far as opening up to others and saying, we want you here, we're listening to you, and this sport is for everyone, it's inclusive?
You know what? I thought that was a huge step, especially because when you think about it, Kelsey, like they're going against their fan base. Like it's not like they're preaching to the choir and all the people that bring Confederate flags, so it's an easy fix or a layup.
Yeah,
that flag has been flown for a long time at these events.
Right.
So to push back and ban them from those events, where those are paying customers, those are some of your fans, some might not come back, but they know it's not right.
Yeah.
And you know what? If that's a part of who you are, then they're saying, you know what? We don't want your money for tickets, or you don't have to come. There'll be other people who understand what it is we're standing for. And the same thing with some of these companies and all these businesses. Seriously, that if that's a part of who you are and what you're still attached to, then we don't want you. And that's hard to do for a lot of companies and businesses. But NASCAR, bravo, for real.
Yes.
Because that's huge. The NFL wasn't willing to do it, be honest. Right? Oh, our fans don't want the kneeling and all that, right?
Yeah.
4 years ago. And now all the people after the rioting and burning and looting are like, oh, wait a minute, we want peaceful protests. No, we have peaceful protests.
Right in front of your face, right?
You didn't want it.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden, because you see the alternative, so which one is it? And the NFL could have got on board. They could have easily said, that he has a right. Even the NBA, everybody always talks about how woke the NBA is. Well, why do they have a law on their books that players can't protest the national anthem? So I want to see down in Orlando what happens. What's going to happen if they want to kneel or take some sort of protest? Yeah. Or are they going to uphold a rule that's in their CBA, which should never even be there, to be honest, because we should all be protected by the right of this country to protest.
Our First Amendment, right?
Great country, right? Yep. That's why our military and our people fight for us to be free, and we're not going to be persecuted to protest the government or protest something that's happening in our world. As long as it's peaceful and you're not bothering other people, you should have the right to protest.
I like that you said that. And I think if we could give grades, Rob, to just the major leagues that have addressed this issue, who do you think out of everyone? It sounds like you're saying NASCAR got it the best, but if you had to rank them or give them grades, who would you say is at the top and who's at the bottom in terms of addressing this issue?
NASCAR does get a high grade. And the NBA would be there. Baseball has a tradition, obviously, with Jackie Robinson, the history of baseball. And, baseball helped to change this country when Jackie Robinson became the first Black player in 1947.
Right.
So it was, it's kind of steeped in it. Not as many, there's a lot of young stars, but not really big time. But they put out their own message. There were a lot of players who were all in that. The Aaron Judge from the Yankees and people that we all know. And that was great to see. NFL, though, will get an F from me because of the whole thing and just the way what they did to Colin Kaepernick, to blackball him from the league for a man who was trying to, if you really think about it, was trying to avoid George Floyd's murder. That's really what he was protesting. And when you think about what he gave up as a quarterback in the NFL, his livelihood, his career, for people he didn't know. This wasn't his cousin or brother or family member. These are nameless, faceless people that he could have easily said, I got a good life. I'm cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, but he cared about others, and that's why he did it.
About other people, and I think deep down when people think about it, this is the sacrifice that great people make, is when you care about somebody you don't know.
Right. And that's huge. And I think when we think about the NFL, I know this has been a huge topic of discussion, but, is the apology enough? Is saying, we got it wrong enough? I mean, because quite frankly, of course, we don't know if Kaepernick does want to play, but if in fact he did.
We do know he wants to play, because I'm going to say this, Kelsey, he does. Okay. Even though we haven't heard from him.
Okay.
He would have never shown up in Atlanta when they had the workout scheduled if he didn't want to play.
Okay.
I know it didn't come off because he changed the venue.
Right.
But he would have never shown up there if he wasn't interested in playing. He's only 32. Tom Brady's going to start in Tampa Bay at 43.
Right.
I don't know if he want to play. He's got years to play, and he could be a quarterback. You never know. Teddy Bridgewater wound up getting a starting job, right? He's the backup for Drew Brees. He gets hurt. He plays well. Boom, he's got a contract now. He's in Carolina. He's the starter. So that's how things work. So, yes, I think that he deserves an opportunity. There's a place in the NFL for him. I'd love to see him play again, but not a token job. Give him a chance to compete and get back out there. I know he hasn't played in 3.5 years, but to me, that's not as bad, because it's less wear and tear on his body. He's not a 32-year-old football-wise. He's a 28-year-old, a 29-year-old, because he hasn't had the hits on his body for the last 3 years.
And then when we think about Colin Kaepernick, too, there's the other side of the debate saying, hey, well, maybe some aren't understanding this because there's not enough diversity in the NFL to first realize anyways what Colin Kaepernick was saying. So, of course, we talk about the Rooney Rule. We talk about diversity in head coaches. We talk about diversity in GMs and just so many high-level executive positions in the NFL. Do you think if we can solve the diversity issue in the NFL that we will kind of help address the societal issues, the social injustice issues that we see the league having trouble with handling?
Absolutely, because you have to have people in decision-making situations. I would love, and this whole thing, but guys, I guess, if there would have been, to me, back with Colin Kaepernick, Jim Caldwell was coach with the Lions. And Mike Tomlin with Pittsburgh are both in the same fraternity as Colin Kaepernick. I would have loved to have seen one of those guys step up and give that guy an opportunity, or a black general manager. Don't wait, and just do what's right. Be on the right side of history. Do what's right. Don't worry about, covering your behind and holding on to your job. A lot of people, this is why the bad stuff continues to happen.
Right.
Because people aren't willing to do what's right. And if I do what's right and they don't want me anymore, then I have to live with that. I can live with that. The worst part, and I think a lot of people have this happen to them, is they don't do right, or they do what they think the man wants them to do, and they still get put out anyway. So what happens?
Yeah.
What
happened? Yeah.
So it didn't work out either way. So just do what's right. And I think if people did the right thing, Colin Kaepernick would have still been in the league. And remember, think about how it went down. He didn't issue a press release. He didn't stand up and say, look what I'm doing over here. He did it privately and didn't announce anything. And Steve Weiss from the NFL Network saw him sitting and asked him as a reporter, what are you doing? And he explained it.
Yeah.
But that's why we haven't heard like Colin Kaepernick jumping around and saying, hey, do this and do that. It was a personal protest that he started on his own, didn't ask his teammates to join him, didn't do anything. So I think people have overlooked that when you think about Colin Kaepernick. This has never been about look at me and look at what I'm doing.
And that's powerful. I think you're right. That's what it was. He wasn't trying to bring attention to himself. It was brought to him. And then, of course, we saw what ensued. And then we saw how he started this movement. We saw other NFL players each week, going on, kneeling with him because they're saying, hey, this is wrong. And I think now a lot of the NFL players that are protesting, Rob, are saying, hey, we're doing this because this is right. We saw what happened to Colin Kaepernick, but this is why you saw that video, right? Black Lives Matter. This is why you see more players. You see Malcolm Jenkins and so many others who are just so outspoken on this issue saying something has to change. We are more than just the sport that we play.
Because you know what? Yeah, absolutely. And here's the thing that I hear a lot, which I think people will always, the naysayers and the other people who push back.
Right.
You guys should be worried about black on black crime. Stop.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because the numbers that no one ever tells you is, and you go look it up, FBI numbers, 90% of all black people are killed by black people.
Mm-hmm.
But 83% of all white people are killed by white people.
Yeah.
Most people are killed by people they know, people they live around.
Right. Because it's your surrounding. Right.
Yes. So it's not the black on black, but you've never heard the term white on white crime in the newscast, have you?
Yeah, not at all.
83%.
Wow.
That's not that far from 90, right? So
not at all.
So when you hear that, tell people, first of all, it's nonsense. And number two, there's a difference between crime.
Yeah.
We don't like it, but we understand it. Somebody wants something you have and is going to take it from you or do harm to you. But we can't accept, not that we accept crime, we understand it, but we can't accept the people who are hired to protect and serve us to kill us. That's the part that we can't accept.
Yeah.
I don't know where people don't look at the difference between crime and the people who are supposed to fight crime asking me for my driver's license and shooting me when I reach in my pocket to get it.
Right.
Unarmed. That
crazy.
Can't be accepted. That's why people are in the street. That's why people want changes.
And I think just going off of what you said something really important, I think, is that media aspect and what's portrayed in the media. You recently had a piece where you called out Detroit radio and talking about the lack of diversity. So let's just talk about media, because I think that's important, because I think sometimes you do need people that look like you to tell those stories. They have a different background, a different understanding. So why was that piece so important for you to write? Because I think it's not only in Detroit, Rob, it's in a lot of sports radio, right? I can talk about here in DC.
It's terrible. And these guys need to be called out.
Yeah.
From the standpoint, Detroit is 83% black.
Mm-hmm.
There's only one sports station. I used to work on that station in Detroit when it was an FM talk station. And I had a show called Parker and the Man.
Yeah.
And it was highly rated. We were on for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And so I always admired like the station and what we did. As a matter of fact, when we started the first all sports station in Detroit, it was called WDFN. And the program director was a woman named Lorna Gladstone, a white woman from Chicago, came to Detroit to start the station.
Right.
And, we had a black morning news anchor. I did the afternoon drive show.
Yeah.
And we had a solo black host, a former Michigan State football player, Ike Griffin. He did the nighttime show. So it was representation. She had women all throughout.
Right. Yeah.
In middays, there was a woman who was the sidekick and the anchor. So there was like a nice mix of people.
Right.
Understood the importance of diversity, and especially in a city like Detroit.
Right.
We're not talking about Iowa or Nebraska and expecting there to be two black hosts on a station in Iowa.
Right.
But in Detroit, and this station, 97.1, The Ticket, is the only option that people have to listen to there for sports.
Right.
And have all the same guys. It's all 50-year-old white guys with the same perspective. I don't know how you have a great conversation or dialogue when everybody's experience is from
the same. Yeah.
The same. So you're going to tell me about Black Lives Matters, and you're going to tell me about kneeling and Colin Kaepernick, and there's nobody black to bring their perspective of what it's like to be black in America. These radio stations have some nerve not to serve the community. In DC, I don't know how many African-American hosts there are, but I hope there's a few. You know what I mean?
Sports Talk Radio.
Sports Talk Radio. My man Mark Gray used to work down there.
Yes, Mark. Yep.
Mark. And he was on the radio in DC. But this is what I'm talking about. We shouldn't accept that. And we should call these stations and email and let them know that we don't appreciate that our opinion isn't worth being on the air.
Yeah. And I think that's powerful. And Rob, I commend you for using your platform to call that out, because I think some, quite frankly, are afraid to call out things are wrong because they're afraid of their own jobs. But you have been one who I think really throughout your career, Rob, and I think this is why people love you and appreciate you. You're not afraid, and you'll call out your hometown station, your hometown where you worked. And that's how we make diversity, a national conversation.
And you know what? I'm going to say this. It's not finalized, but we're working on it. But
Yeah.
my boss at Fox Sports and I sat down. I just pitched something, and we're working on. It's not just enough for me to point out and say something, but at Fox
Right.
Sports Radio, we're coming up with a new plan to introduce new young Black voices, male and female.
Oh, that's awesome.
Fox Sports Radio with us. So
That's
what
awesome.
we're going to do. Yes, and we're going to be looking
Nice.
for people who are in smaller markets, who are in college, who are trying to break into the business.
Yeah.
We want to hear from these people. So it'll be an announcement coming soon. So I'm giving you a little.
I got the little exclusive. I feel all excited. Thank you for that. That's exciting.
And I think that's great. And the bosses at Fox Sports, when I pitched it to them, they were all in. They understand what I'm saying. We need to build up a bank of talent so that people can't come and say, oh, well, there's no guys out there, or we don't know anybody.
Which we always hear.
We're going to have a talent bank of people all over the country that you can not only see who they are, look at their resume, but click on and hear a sound. That's our goal.
That's huge. I mean, that's huge. Because like you said, it's always, oh, well, they weren't there when we were looking, or, all these other excuses. And now the fact that you're going to, it's in the works. That's exciting. So again, see, Rob, this is why we love Rob Parker and why you're on the show. Now I'm going to keep my commitment. I told you I'd keep you on for 30 minutes, Rob. I want to talk about something exciting that you have. A brand new book on Amazon, which is where we all shop, tells of Rob Parker's Urinating Mouse, a collection of tweets. Tell us all about this.
Yes, it is I'm going to see if I can find a picture real quick.
I love the illustration. If you guys have not seen this, you have to see the cover of the book.
On Twitter, after big games or whatnot, whenever somebody loses or something happens, I always say it's so quiet. When the Patriots lost in the playoffs, I would say it's so quiet in New England that you could hear a mouse urinate on Tom Brady's Ben Gay or something, or something of that magnitude. So it became popular and people were always looking forward to it. So I decided to put them all together in a book. I got a guy, illustrator. His name is Cotton the Mouse. His name is Cotton the Mouse. And here it is.
Look at the illustration, you all. It's priceless.
There it is. So you can go to Amazon.com. It's only like $10.
Nice.
It's fun. And we also I have a website, GetRob.com. And we actually have some Cotton Urinating Mouse hoodies that you can buy as well.
I'm going to have to order one, Rob. I'm stocking up anyways for summer. So let me get one. This is awesome. So it's on Amazon. People can shop now. It's for everybody, right? It's just a fun book. It sounds like a fun read.
It's a fun book. It's not heavy lifting.
I love that.
Oh, yeah. If you want just something fun to read for the summer on the beach, or you know what I mean, you got a little trip planned. It's a fun book.
Nice. Might as well, right? We're just going to have our face masks on. We can't talk much, so might as well read a book and get some more knowledge. Rob, this has been so awesome. Before I let you go, any last words and anything else that we can look forward to?
There's a couple other things, projects in the work, but definitely if you can, I write a weekly column on Deadspin.com.
Yeah.
Also check out, The Odd Couple, Chris Broussard and I, Fox Sports Radio, 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern. And again, here's Chris and I, two African Americans, hosting a national sports radio show. I don't think it's ever been done before. Yeah. We're on 400 stations around the country.
Wow.
They allow us to be ourselves and do the show that we want. It's fun. It's informative. Chris and I aren't afraid to talk about the issues that are out there.
Right.
And, we're not going to make any excuses. We're going to talk about our experiences and how we feel about these issues. So it's really a fun show to listen to. And of course, Undisputed in the Herd, I'm on, every so often as a contributor. So all that stuff is good. And I appreciate it.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much again, Rob, for your time. I hope you are not a stranger to this show. We'll look forward to checking you out more.
We'll do it again. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much. Have a great one. Bye, Rob. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for listening to this live stream edition of Listen In with KNN. As always, I hope you had fun, learned something, and of course, jumped in on the KNN bandwagon. We'll be back next week. We'll have special episodes on Tuesday and Thursday. And then, of course, we'll have the 4th of July holiday, and also we'll have a brand new podcast version of the show dropping on Monday morning. So stay tuned. Of course, you can always find out more on my website, KelseyNicoleNelson.com, and check out Fox Sports Radio 1340 AM. Until next week, have a great weekend. Stay safe, and please wear your face mask if you're going outside. Have a great one, guys. Bye-bye.
Follow Kelsey on social media at The Real K Nelson. And catch each broadcast of Listen In with KNN on air at AM 1340 and 96.9 FM Fox Sports Radio, on YouTube, on Facebook and Twitter, and online at KelseyNicoleNelson.com. Thank you for watching this special live stream broadcast of Listen In with KNN.
You used to hear me on your airwaves or hear me on my hit podcast, but now I'm taking you to the screen. You'll love Elevator Thoughts. We will talk the latest trending in sports. It's game time. What better way to get to know those that visit the show than over some good food and drink? It's time for confessions.